man, we're having a moment right now. Steve is right behind me. Oh my God, he got it to go. He got it to go. Good going, Steve. Well, Steve has never driven electric cars before, ever. I think he's driving his first electric car right this very second. Every time we see an electric car, there's an electric car that needs moved, he's like, yeah, I don't know how to drive that. But he just got into one of our new electric Mercedes.
The wrong way detected. Check driving direction.
Yeah, shut up, car. Wrong way detected. So yeah, we got these new electric Mercedes. Those all came in, I think, the day after I was told that I wasn't to do the electrics anymore. By the way, I've been back to doing the electrics for about 2 days, and I'll be explaining that soon. Just so much Priscilla drama and so much about the eclipse. I never got around to mentioning how much the work dynamic has changed since I've been back from the eclipse on Sunday. But anyway, I wasn't sure how that was going to go out. That's why I started shooting video. Steve jumped into that Mercedes, and I don't think he realized it was an electric vehicle. And to be fair, like, I think I did that a week and a half ago. I got in one, and I didn't realize it was an electric vehicle either. Of course, for me, it wasn't a thing of, I don't know how to drive an electric vehicle. It was more a thing of, oh, I was told not to service the electric vehicles anymore. Oh, guess I got to go get in something else. But yeah, looks like he figured out how to make it go. He's driving it all right. Of course, the electric Mercedes do drive a lot more like a normal vehicle. He's going the wrong way with it. Oh my goodness. You're going the wrong way, Steve. I wish y'all can see what's in front of me. Anyway, apparently he figured out. You know, that's one thing that's a little alarming. And to be honest, it doesn't throw me as much on the electric vehicles as it does on some of the hybrids, where you hit the start button, power button, whatever you want to call it in the car. And with a gas car, I mean, you know, boom, starts up. But with some of the hybrids, it doesn't really do anything, like some things light up. Anyway, I think I better go show Steve where he needs to bring this vehicle, because he seems lost. Hello, YouTube. So it's 10:30. Kind of odd for me to be leaving here at exactly 10:30, but that's what I'm doing right now. Still Tuesday, October 17th, 2023. I should turn on my headlights. Not that they help a whole lot these days. So I tried to follow Steve to where he was at and gesture him where to go with that electric car, that electric Mercedes. But, yeah, he ended up like kind of stumbling. He doesn't walk very good, and Keontae was driving the Shag. He ended up just kind of shuffling back to where we were and said that the car wouldn't go into reverse, which I've never had any problem with shifting those new electric Mercedes, but I like Steve. Steve's a good guy, but he's not the brightest bulb in the box. Now, he definitely is one of the most known and respected people there. It's kind of hard to wrap my head around it, but he told me that prior to getting fired about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago-ish, that he had worked for MLS there for about 10 years. So I get the connections he's got with a lot of people that are there, that have been there a long time. And it seems like the leadership that, to be fair, doesn't really micromanage me much. I pushed back a couple weeks ago over the Jesse incident, and it's pretty much known that I've got a pretty extreme work ethic, and that I'm always working, even if it's maybe not on what they want me to be working on. Like, I'm working nonstop, and it's just best to leave me alone and I get shit done. So I'm really the only one working at night that knows what I know in terms of where all the maintenance stuff goes and how everything's sorted out. And I'm typically up to date on things that might be being done differently temporarily, such as right now, there's a recall on the new Nissan Sentras, and we have shitloads of them. If they're in for PMs or if they're in for tires, I've got them in the PM and tire line. But pretty much everything else, generally speaking, I have a safety hold on it. It's a manufacturer recall, and they don't have a fix for it. So all those cars we need to take off the road, I have no idea how Nissan goes about compensating Hertz for this. But yeah, all those with a safety recall, until Nissan gets a fix for it, they're all going somewhere. There's sort of a place where those go, but at this point, between the safety recall on those that doesn't have a fix and a safety recall that happened apparently the same day, which was yesterday, on the Ford Transport van, which is a very large van, like I'm not sure how many passengers, but it's like a short bus type van. Anyway, that's one of the main vehicles that we use at Hertz for that class of van, and there are people that specifically rent that need that. So taking all the transports off the road is, yeah, that's going to kind of shift things. So hopefully Ford gets a fix for it soon, but I recently found out that Ford had another similar recall, and I don't know what the issue is with transports. I just know that it's a manufacturer recall, that there is no fix from Ford for it. They're still trying to figure it out. Which I think it's sad that like vehicles get put on the market with problems like that. Like it used to be things were thoroughly tested for safety before they were put out for sale, and it just seems like that's really not the way it is anymore. The other ones are Ford, like a large SUV. I want to say Ford Explorers, and on the back side of all the chargers in the dollar lot, which are all wired up, by the way. That's something else that has changed. So I've been back on EVs. I didn't do EVs tonight. I might explain why. But the last 2 nights I was working on electric vehicles again, servicing them, and they've changed the way it's done. It's a little more convoluted now. There are times I just scratch my head and wonder who's making these decisions at Hertz, because at this point they're washing the cars before they're charging them, which to me seems backwards. And they're charging them at the farthest location from where they're washing them. So they end up getting taken down near the car wash, put in a long line, and just sit and sit and sit, neither getting charged nor washed. There goes the Toyota right there. That's a Kia EV6. I love those things. Although I've heard they're like $42,000. Anyway, so yeah, so they sit and sit and sit and sit. Eventually they get washed and they get put in a line to go out. And you know, and if they're at 80% or higher, then they go up and get put up for rent. Okay, sure, no problem. But only a small portion of them are. Most of them need a pretty substantial charge. Now, I saw a video, and I don't think I've talked about it yet, but I saw a video on YouTube a couple of weeks ago, and I'll try to remember to link in the description, but about somebody's experience with renting a Polestar 2 at Hertz. And he very clearly said in the title of the video and in the thumbnail that it was about his experience renting a Polestar from Hertz. And he got some negative comments. These aren't problems with Polestar, these are problems with Hertz. And I think the title says right on, why problems with renting a Polestar from Hertz. So anybody who thought like it's, I don't know, I thought it was pretty open and shut what his video was about. I didn't see any kind of clickbait there. So if you were expecting a review of a Polestar 2, probably should do a video called Polestar 2 EV Review. But one of the things that he really hit home on, and this is something I definitely see like all day long, is that the bulk majority of the Hertz staff don't know shit about electric vehicles. They really don't. And it would appear to me, by the way they're deciding how to handle them, that even the people at the very top that are making decisions don't know shit about electric vehicles. Because if they did, their focus would be getting them on a charger immediately. And it's not. That seems to be the last thing they do. The fact that they're charging them after they're washing them just seems asinine to me. But the fact that those areas are about as far spread apart as they can be is, again, mind-numbing to me. But hey, I don't make these decisions. I'm not at the bottom, but I'm pretty fucking close to it. I mean, I'm not even a Hertz employee. I'm an MLS employee. That said, this guy's review was pretty interesting, and a lot of it just kind of came from the fact that he didn't know when he rented the vehicle what the policy was regarding where the battery level had to be when he returned it. He said that when he was asked, or that he went through his rental contract, and the rental contract simply talked about gallons of gas and how much he'd be charged for gallons of gas and gas tank. Didn't say anything about electric. And that couldn't find any information on the Hertz website, couldn't get anybody on the phone to do anything. And I feel like eventually, and I'm going to link the video, so watch the video if you're actually that curious, but I think his deal was that he ended up having to reach out to Hertz either through their Twitter or through their Instagram, but through social media, which just seems like that's not where you should get customer service from. It really isn't. And that he ended up getting this really convoluted return policy regarding the EVs, and it was about like above this, if it's above this percentage, then this, about beyond this percentage, then this, and it was really convoluted. The surcharge, if you brought it back with a nearly dead battery, was so low that, considering how much of a hassle it can be to charge a battery at a third-party charging station, especially with a Polestar, where you can't use the Tesla charging network. At least you can't yet. I've heard that Polestar's in negotiations with Tesla to try to resolve that issue. So if that gets solved, cool. Although you're still going to need a fucking adapter. Speaking of adapters, found another broken Tesla adapter yesterday. Yeah, considering how time-consuming and potentially costly it could be to go to a charging station, unlike where it's very much to your financial advantage even to go to that place that charges $6 a gallon and top off your tank before you return your gas-powered car to Hertz. It almost seems like it's to your advantage to just, because I think the surcharge was like $25 or something like that for bringing them, as long as it wasn't like under 15%. So yeah, when you consider how much, how the charges for charging electric vehicles can vary wildly, and just how time consuming it can be, fuck that. What's your time worth? I mean, $25 saves you a couple hours of sitting at a charger. Yeah, let Hertz deal with it for sure. Anyway, I had a lot more to say, but I'm home. I'm ready to go in. Had some very uncomfortable conversations and text with Priscilla. I'm so over that, but I'm still have physical needs, and that's what my body's crying out for. Had a car today that was a repo hold. I really don't know where those go. I usually put that in the right side of the gatekeeper line, but at this point we had some of those Nissan Sentras that I pretty much turned the right side of the gatekeeper line just into Nissan Sentras with miscellaneous holds, so whoever goes and handles that can handle that. The place where they go is full, so they're probably going to have to make some I did go around the back end of where all those Ford Explorers are, and maybe they can squeeze them in there. I don't know. Not my decision, not my problem. Although at some point I expect I might be asked to help move them. Anyway, a lot of times repo holds, like I get the feeling when I look in these cars that, holy shit, somebody was living in that motherfucker and they were just keeping it, and they were on the streets, and the last thing they had was a damn rental car. But I got some really nice pillows, nearly new pillows. There were blankets in the back. The blankets were pretty crappy, so I just left them. But there was some other stuff. But yeah, I got a nearly new roll of paper towels and a couple of really nice pillows. And generally, I'm not a fan of other people's used pillows because I don't, hopefully they didn't have lice or nothing. But I don't know. They look clean. They smell clean. And they're a lot nicer and less trash than the pillows that I have. So, taking them. Anyway, I don't want to say more, but just kind of summary. Today was just me and Steve doing nothing but maintenance, and I did tell him and Keontae early on that, surprise, surprise, they had me back on EVs on Sunday and Monday. I didn't mess with it today, and Steve even asked, well, aren't you going to do the EVs today? And I'm like, no, I'm not fucking with EVs at all. And he goes, why? I said, if the angry Elf here, I don't fuck with EVs. And that's the bottom line. I just don't feel like butting heads with him. Now, I told him that if I got got a text message from one of the managers asking me to help out with EVs, that would be a different story. But unless they tell me to, and I've kind of come to the conclusion that, and Steve told me this the first day I worked with him. Or maybe it wasn't the first day. I'm sorry, it was the second week I worked with him. So the third day I worked with him. Because that was the day I had the whole meeting with management regarding Row IQ Jesse. And Jesse has really stayed out of my hair ever since. But he told me that night, he goes, they won't mess with you if you're with me. And I thought he was kidding. But I've talked to other people about Steve, and the general consensus is, yeah, nobody messes with Steve. And they're well aware that Steve doesn't have the best work ethic, and sometimes he just rolls around aimlessly, and they just, I don't know. Steve has just got so much seniority, and he's so liked by the right people that nobody fucks with Steve. And if I'm rolling with Steve, nobody fucks with me because nobody fucks with Steve, even to the point of nobody asked me to deal with EVs. Now, to be fair, I was kind of watching the EVs, and it didn't look like they were ever remotely behind on them, so I'm sure that was a factor as well. But anyway, I'm going inside. Thanks for coming with on the drive, and thanks for watching.